Hey guys, it's Katie. Because today is January 31st, I wanted to do my January wrap-up and February TBR video. In the month of January, I read 7 books, which is actually 3 more than I needed to read to reach my Goodreads goal. The reason I chose to read extra books this month was because I had time and I wanted to, but also because later on down the road, I know I have some very busy months and it'll be harder for me to reach my goal, and because later on down the year, I don't want to feel discouraged from reading longer or more difficult books in order to reach my goal. With that being said, let's get started on what I read this month. The first book I completed this year was Winter by Marissa Meyer. Winter is the 4th and final novel in the Lunar Chronicles series. It was a very good book. It was crazy, a lot happened, and I really enjoyed it overall. I do wish there had been a little bit more of a wrap-up at the end. I feel like it kind of was such a busy book, and then all of a sudden we get to the end and it just kind of wraps up beautifully and nicely all of a sudden, and we didn't get a lot of details about how it wrapped up, and it was good. Don't be discouraged, it was good. It was just that I wish it had ended a little bit differently. That being said, I gave this series a 4.25 out of 5 stars. And if you're really looking for like a super cool sci-fi series, it's fairy tale retellings. It's really cool. I really liked it. The second book I completed this year was City of Fallen Angels by Cassandra Clare. City of Fallen Angels is the 4th novel in the Mortal Instruments series, and I am reading them for the first time. I'm really enjoying them so far. I thought City of Fallen Angels was kind of a weaker book compared to the first 3. It just felt like a lot wasn't happening. It wasn't as busy as the others, and there was kind of nothing happening through the beginning, and then like the last 150 pages or so was like really crazy, and a lot of stuff started happening, but the beginning was a bunch of characters kind of fighting. It wasn't as good as the first ones. That being said, I'll finish the series. We'll see how it goes. The third book I read this year was The Martian by Andy Weir. I adored this book. I did a whole spoiler-free book talk and I will link that down below. If you haven't read this book, you should totally go watch the book talk because it's just me trying to convince people to read the book. It is really a phenomenal novel. I really loved it. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It was great. I love this book. The fourth book I finished this year was Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Lightning Thief, which is the first book in the Percy Jackson series written by Rick Riordan. So this is the first time I've read these as well. I really enjoyed it. This came out at a really good time for me to have read it in my life. So if I had read it like when they came out, it would have been perfect because I was in middle school, and in middle school we studied a lot of Greek mythology. I don't know if other people's middle schools did that, but that is a lot of what we focused on. So this is really great because it talks about a lot of Greek mythology. And it was funny because there were some things, you know, in this book when I was reading, I was like trying to remember what that god was the god of, or like where some of the humor in it, like I think would have made more sense, or if I had remembered details about them. But it was really good. I really loved Percy's personality. He was very funny, but he still kind of retained that childlike innocence. This was really good. I'm definitely gonna keep going. The reason I actually started reading it is because over Christmas break, I was home and I found the series on sale at Half Price Books for a great price, and I thought, I'm gonna buy it because I hadn't read them. I've heard a lot of great things. So here I am, I've read it. I'm excited to continue this series. The next book I finished was actually an audiobook, and it is Days of Blood and Starlight by Laini Taylor. Days of Blood and Starlight is the 2nd novel in the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy, and it was good. So I audiobooked Daughter of Smoke and Bone back in November, and it was really good. The voice actor is phenomenal. She does a wonderful job. It's probably the best audiobook I've ever heard. Laini Taylor's writing is beautiful. It's very descriptive. I thought the world was very interesting. I like her characters. They're very dynamic. But the first book was quirky and interesting. There were some mature themes in it, but it was very lighthearted. The second book was really not for the light of heart. It was really serious and it was really dark, and I really didn't expect the series to go there. So I was kind of surprised by some of the things that happened in the novel. You know, when you're reading, you can kind of skim, but when you're audiobooking, you can't. And like I said, the voice actor is phenomenal, and every voice is different. Every voice, you know, every character has a very particular voice, and she just does such a good job. And it was really hard to hear some things from people's perspectives. For instance, there's a torture scene, and that was really kind of hard to hear. It wasn't as bad as later in the book there's a rape scene, and that one was really hard to listen to. I really did enjoy the book, and it was really good despite all of the very dark things that happened. You know, if you're interested in reading it, I would definitely recommend you to be on the older side. I'm not going to put an age on it because I think maturity isn't an age, but if you do have some triggers for violence or rape, I would definitely not recommend this book, or at least I wouldn't recommend audiobooking it. I'm kind of in debate right now. I want to finish the trilogy. I want to read Dreams of Gods and Monsters. I'm kind of debating whether or not I want to audiobook it as well, or if I want to read the physical book. So if you have any thoughts or opinions on that, I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Just leave me some comments down below. Overall, I gave the book 4 out of 5 stars. I gave the first book 5 out of 5. I enjoyed it. Overall. The next book I completed was Clockwork Angel by Cassandra Clare, which is the first book in the Infernal Devices series. I've heard so many people love the Infernal Devices. I mean, people that love the Mortal Instruments, I've heard like the Infernal Devices more. And I really had high expectations when I went in, and I don't know. I wasn't sold after this one. It was really good. There were some interesting things that you don't experience in the Mortal Instruments with some of the characters, and of course the time period was really interesting to read from, and it's in London, which I love London. It was good, but I wasn't sold yet. But the next book I read was Clockwork Prince. I'm sold. Clockwork Prince was really good, and I finished it late last night. I stayed up like all night reading it, and it's good. And I think that that's because I knew the characters a little bit better, and you have some people that start to open up in this book. And so in the first book, they're kind of shrouded in mystery, I guess, and you don't really know where they're coming from or what they're thinking or what they're doing or why. And so when I read this one, it kind of helped out with some of the characters I was not really feeling yet. That being said, there's a major love triangle that like takes place kind of throughout the trilogy, I'm assuming, but I've only gotten through 2 books. I don't know who I want Tessa to be with. I'm so confused and torn. And you know, most of the time when there's a love triangle, you're kind of like team whoever, like you know who you want that character to be with. I don't know. Jem or Will. Like I genuinely am torn on this one, and I'm so interested to see where it goes. Don't spoil anything. I'm gonna get to the end pretty soon. I really have started to enjoy this one, but the next book I have to read is actually back in the Mortal Instruments, so it'll be a couple weeks. Don't say anything. So those are the 7 books I completed in January. In February, I'm gonna read the 5th book in the Mortal Instruments, City of Lost Souls, also written by Cassandra Clare. And then of course, after I've read City of Lost Souls, I'm going to read Clockwork Princess. Those are the only 2 I'm gonna actually try and read this month. I think in March, I'm gonna read the final novel, City of Heavenly Fire. The next book I wanna read is the 2nd book in the Percy Jackson and the Olympians series, and that is Sea of Monsters by Rick Riordan. I'm definitely excited to be getting to this one. It'll be interesting to keep going with this series and see where it goes. So back in October, I read The Fifth Wave. And then at the time I was like, oh man, I need to read The Infinite Sea. And I like went to the store and they only had hardback, and I was like, well, I want it in paperback because The Fifth Wave is in paperback. So I waited until it came out on paperback, which is like the month after that or something. And I bought it and I haven't read it. So now that I finally have the book and I finally have decided to get to it, it is The Infinite Sea by Rick Yancey. It's also pretty short, and I think I read The Fifth Wave like really fast because it's such a page turner. And so I bet that The Infinite Sea won't take me very long, and I'm excited to see where the story's going. I have not seen the Fifth Wave movie yet. I'm kind of in debate actually whether or not I want to see that. I'm a little bit of a book to movie stickler, so we'll see. I don't know. I've heard mixed things, so I'm kind of debating. Anyways, gonna get to The Infinite Sea this month because if I put it on my TBR, I'll actually read it. So those are the 4 books on my February TBR. I'll probably read more than that, and in fact, I might get some books from the library that I've been on hold for a while for, in which case my TBR might change, but Those are the books I think I want to get to this month. Let me know what's on your February TBR down below in the comments. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos from me, hit the subscribe button. And that's going to be it for this video. Okay guys, catch you later. Gods of Stars and Monsters? No, Dreams of Gods and Monsters. This month. Dang it. I've been reading it for a while now. It's good. That's my timer for my lunch. Dang it.